I'm Rick Dancer. Coming up on Rick Dancer TV, we're going to continue our vacation, I guess you could call it, through Wallowa County. Tonight we're going to take you to a little place that most people have never been before. You're going to love it. Also, we're going to introduce you to a woman who was a pioneer in television history. Cool backstory. But I'm not going to tell you now because I wanted you to watch the show, but you'll have to watch and see what's happening with that. Also, I'm going to take you to Redoubt Mountain Lodge because that's where I am right now. I know. You don't like me. And we're going to tell you about a service here in Eugene where you can get the access to 40 different restaurants, and all you got to do is go to hungryducks.com. That's it. Coming up next. I'm not dead. That sounds like something interesting.
If every county needs a biggest town, in northeastern Oregon, this is it. Enterprise. Not only is it the largest town in Wallowa County, it's the place with the most history, and people are trying to save every bit of it.
Enterprise is a wonderfully intact historic town.
In the late 1800s,
Enterprise at that point was nothing but a plat map.
developers convinced those plotting the map to give them some land and create what is today Enterprise. Jack McLaren's watched builders cut the quarried Bowlby stone to construct the centerpiece of town, the county courthouse.
The real strong voice in Enterprise is they want to protect what they have in an authentic way.
The old buildings, many made of the same stone, line the streets today. Enterprise is consistent. 2,002 people live here.
That population of 2002 has stayed consistent, relatively consistent, since the 1920s.
When you move to Enterprise, bring the job with you.
People want to come to Wallowa County, but there's nothing to do. There's no industry. Art, government, farming, ranching, that's pretty much it.
Folks in this part of the state are feeling pressure to grow. As Central Oregon gets more crowded, explorers venture northeast to find this place. People here are afraid of growth, though, aren't they?
I think so.
You don't want to become Ben.
No. At the same time, we're also concerned about our economic future.
So they plan carefully, resisting the temptation to recreate.
Protecting what we have, not trying to become something we're not.
Earl McLaughlin understands the balance between preservation and recreation. He lives a few miles outside of Enterprise.
This is my workshop, my area where I do the restorations.
When weather permits, Earl farms cereal grain.
From basically the 1st of November till the 1st of April, you know, there's not much going on the farm with no livestock.
To fill his time, in 1983 he bought his first tractor.
I just have an intense desire to collect some of the old farm implements and try to preserve some of our heritage.
33 tractors later.
Well, I've probably got 3 or 4 buildings that are pretty full of stuff, you know.
His obsession includes more than tractors.
Well, it's part of our heritage, you know. It's part of the foundations of this country, the agricultural industry.
His tractor restorations are impeccable. But for some of his collection, authenticity requires a fair amount of rust and moss.
It took 130 years for it to get on there, and in a couple days you could take it off. Yeah, and it just makes the stuff look natural. Yeah.
Farmers are his detectives. They hear about an old piece of equipment and give him a call. Sometimes Wallowa County seems so close.
Okay, now this shows you what a small world we live in. I'm in Enterprise, Oregon, in the northeast of Oregon, talking to a farmer I've never met before. He tells me he bought this tractor right here from my neighbor in Camp Creek in Springfield from Bobby Fisher.
There's something about Earl and those trying to preserve the history of Enterprise, Oregon that truly matters. Sometimes we think we have to save the world to make an impact, but you don't. You find the thing that makes you come alive and you do it. Whether it's saving a tractor or an old building in Enterprise, history will repeat itself. Wouldn't it be nice if it had an old friend to return home to? We'll be right back.
My name's Michael Coombs, and I'm a millennial. And me and Rick were talking, and we never get any respect. People don't take us serious, especially the older generations. So I was telling him about this and expressing the way I feel to Rick, and he thought we should make a show. We should do a segment and be able to give my generation, the millennials, a voice. We're gonna talk about hope. We're gonna talk about hope for the future. We're gonna do, there's any topic that I think that millennials are gonna wanna speak about, what millennials are gonna wanna speak about, we're gonna do. What millennials think about marijuana? Millennials think marijuana is no big thing. They think if it's I believe, as a millennial, that it was put here for, medicinal purpose and occasional, have fun.
I've never really had this happen to me before. As we did a story for the University of Oregon for the Archives and Special Collections Department. They have all the archives from a woman named Peg Lynch. She was a pioneer in television history long before Lucille Ball was around. But Peg, we felt like she was a forgotten footnote, and we did this story, put it on YouTube, a lot of you saw it, and then Peg watched it. She's 98 years old. She got to watch the story, and they said she just looked at it and was like in awe that she was finally documented in history. And then just recently, after seeing that, she passed away. So I cannot tell you, as a guy who puts together videos and stories, how awesome that is to know that she got to see what you're about to look like and know that she will not be forgotten.
In the history books, she's a footnote, and she needs to be more than a footnote.
Her name is Peg Lynch. Lynch is the woman standing up to the right in this original copy of her television show.
She was a pioneer in television history. She was there at a critical moment when television was blossoming.
Special Collections and University Archives at the University of Oregon is curator to the Peg Lynch collection. Kinescopes, original manuscripts, scripts, and letters, all opening the door to the earliest years of television history.
And then to discover that Peg is still living. She's 98 years old, still going strong. We were able to go meet with her and then to add material to the collection.
When I started, it was with David Gentling. Father bought the First National Bank and wanted a radio station, so he put a lot of money in. It was very good. And I said, do you think I could get a job? I was about 14.
Peg Lynch was a radio and television star. She was actually one of the inventors of what we call the television sitcom. She worked in radio first, of course, and developed this show called Ethel and Albert. It started out as a 10-minute segment on the Kate Smith Evening Hour.
Of course, you've watched them and laughed with them. So I think now that we'll turn the evening over the next part of it.
What I find so remarkable about the shows is that the premise or the plot of the shows center on these domestic conflicts that really, I think, transcend time. Ethel and Albert predates I Love Lucy. Yeah, I guess Ethel and Albert stayed on TV until '56. But at a certain point in television history, there was a decision to do comedies, to do sitcoms in Southern California, in Hollywood.
Peg Lynch chose not to go to Hollywood, but to stay in New York.
She really wanted to raise her daughter back east, basically, instead of Hollywood.
By 1956, the television career was over.
Then she started to do a radio show called The Couple Next Door, but basically it was Ethel and Albert just with different characters.
Life is about choices. Peg Lynch chose to keep the copyrights to her show, which is why it never ended up in syndication.
And she's just a fabulous person. You know, I love talking with her. She's got all these great stories. It's just exciting to talk to her. You know, it's like living history, basically. You ask her, what was it like working with Kate Smith? Or tell me your experiences meeting all these famous actors, movie celebrities who wanted to appear on TV and they were terrified because they'd never done it before. Most Americans don't know anything about the show, and to me that's really a shame. You know, they really should know something about this early television history that's encapsulated in this show, Ethel and Albert. Her part in that hasn't really been written yet. So we really want researchers to come into special collections to use her collection and learn about this history and write about it. Once more people know about her work, she'll be situated more solidly in TV history. It's such a fascinating story, it needs to be told.
Hannah, come on. My mom just called.
I'm gonna stay with my friends. My mom's picking me up later.
Fine.
Who's that? Nothing. Is that him? It's nothing.
You know, it's kind of creepy that he's texting you over and over again. He knows it. He knows you're with us. Hannah, I'm really worried about you. I really think we should tell someone. Is it a phone or a leash? Hannah, I'm really worried about you.
When the phone rings and your doctor informs you you have cancer, life forever changes. I work in the television video production industry. I do online videos and decided, after a lot of thinking, to make my cancer very public.
So here's the thing. I have cancer. Prostate cancer. And I'm just shocked. Just kind of stunned and numb and scared and afraid.
My diagnosis came in January of 2010.
I didn't want to die, but I also, to be honest, I didn't want to lose my ability to have an erection. I mean, that's a big concern for a guy.
I'm not afraid this is going to kill me. Prostate cancer is really treatable. I'm afraid of the process. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to live with cancer.
In my late 40s, my PSA jumped. At first, the PSA was 2, then 4, and that's when the biopsies began. It took 5 years and 5 biopsies to find cancer. My PSA was hovering at 20 when the cancer was discovered.
That was the horrible process. We felt so alone while we were looking for a treatment. And I remember we'd go to doctor appointment after doctor appointment, and every time we'd come out, we just sit there and cry all the way home.
The internet was even worse. The most talked about treatments always came with a host of possible side effects. Your temptation is to move quickly. You hear cancer and just want to get it out of your body. I resisted the temptation and took several months finding the treatment that was right for me, and I'm so glad I did. I wish in those early days we'd had a team of specialists like those at the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute to talk with us about all the options, not just the usual treatments.
So you can't rely on friends and relatives or other men in your life who've had prostate cancer and do what they did. You really have to go through this process yourself and figure out what's the best treatment for you, or whether you really want to get treated at all at this point.
Cancer did change my life, but not in the ways I thought it would. We chose a treatment that worked for us. Yes, this is not just your decision. Your wife needs to be part of that process. I think attitude is a huge part of cancer treatment, survival, and moving on. I didn't have to fight cancer. I had to fight Rick Dancer, me. Surviving cancer did have lasting effects on our lives. We discovered how much stronger we are and how short time really is when you think about it. We now do triathlons, our first half marathon. We cycle Oregon and try things we never dreamed of trying before. I'm not trying to glamorize cancer. There is nothing beautiful about it. But cancer let me stare death in the face and then walk away. There is something powerful in the gift of survival.
Guys, the best advice I can give after going through this process is don't rush into anything. First of all, determine whether you need to be treated with your different doctors that you're going to go visit. If you do decide on treatment, look at the side effects and make sure you're comfortable with what's going to happen or what could happen. And then remember, you will get through this.
Life is good now. My PSA is down to 0 for the first time in a decade. My side effects from the treatment are minimal. I look back at this video and remember that day like it was yesterday.
That's kind of where we're at. So keep praying, and I thank you. It'll get better. It'll get better. It'll get better.
I was right. It is getting much better.
Being diagnosed with cancer changes your life. Having surgeries, you know, I was just focused on getting through it. I didn't understand the extent of it. It's a long journey. You know, I had limited range of motion, and we had to do a lot of manual work, and I have to do a lot of re-educating my body to do what it was doing before.
The doctors are the people that help the patients beat cancer. What we do is we help people get back to living the life that they love.
I had no idea, and I was well informed, but as fantastic as my doctors were, I don't even think they understand what happens after cancer. I don't think you can understand it until you go through it.
You know, we've developed a niche in taking care of cancer patients.
I have never felt so weak and vulnerable my whole life. So to have the physical therapist and the massage therapist and the acupuncturist help me get my strength back, I have no words to describe how grateful I am for that.
I think that in some ways, all of us here went through cancer with Mary.
Now our staff knows how to really help people physically, and we take care of them emotionally too. And that's a pretty great feeling. Physical therapy and all of the other therapies that we offer here have really helped get me back to living the life I love. And that's what we'll do for you.
What I love about this business is the people. I'm a people person, so I love to interact with people, and I love to make people feel good. So one of the ways, is obviously with food, because when people taste something that is really good and really authentic, and have a really good service, they feel good. So that's what we're passionate about is people. We really care about people. What I will tell you, about our food is that we prepare everything from scratch. So we make sure we hire people that have the passion for making food. That's one of the ingredients. The other one, we make sure that our recipes, they use the ingredients that we tell them to use. And before we put it into the market, we make sure we test, try it, So we make our food from scratch, and people that we have as employees, they really care about how the food tastes. So they make sure that it's really good, authentic Mexican food. The only Americanized part, on these recipes are the melted cheese over, because people here like the melted cheese, And in Mexico we don't use that. But the flavor in the recipes and the ingredients, we use, all Mexican ingredients. But the only thing is Americanized is just to melt the cheese over. On some of the items like enchiladas or burritos, but like the carne asada, we use, Mexican seasoning to make sure that the flavor stays up as a Mexican dish. The golden rule is, obviously to treat others as you like to be treated. So when we start the business is the same way. You just need to treat others as you like to be treated. So we train them how to take care of the guests, how to make sure the quality of the food is coming out. Because from that, it depends everything, If you don't bring a quality food, then you're done. People love the way the food tastes. They cannot find, this kind of taste, in town. Even though it's a Mexican restaurant and the menu can be similar to so-and-so, but when they taste the food, they can tell the difference. There's something in it that they cannot tell what it is, but it's more flavorful, more, I don't know, they can really tell that it's authentic Mexican food. It's not just like any other. We put some quotes in the wall, different quotes and all this, because in Mexico, and in a little town, our grandparents and parents always use quotes to talk to us. So we just took some quotes from here, from America, so we can mix, like our tradition with the American tradition. I will ask everybody to come, and give us a chat. And I make sure that I talk to them, if they don't like it, I pay for it, I'm very confident on our food, because we eat it every day and we don't get tired.
A really good guy named Darren owns a business in town called hungryducks.com. I love this because you can go to 40 different restaurants, never have to drive your car, go to hungryducks.com, look at all the menus, order your food. Within 30 minutes, they'll bring it to you. There's even a computer tracking system that you can go on and monitor your food to see how soon it's going to be there. Darren is a good guy, and so go to hungryducks.com, check it out. It's like having a food cart right on your phone. I love this. So Monica, you have a special event coming up in August. Tell folks about that.
Right Able is celebrating their 20th anniversary.
Wow.
That's huge, and it's huge for any therapeutic program or horsemanship program to have been in business for 20 years. So we're excited about that. So August 22nd is our volunteer reunion. We have volunteers because of the university and the high schools that of course spend some time at the barn and then grow up and go away. And they're all excited to come back and see our new facility. So we have a reunion on August 22nd, and then on August 23rd, we're going to have an open barn for the public to just come see the program, see the facility, do some demonstrations, and let people see what we're all about for our anniversary.
Why is it so important that we provide this service to the different people in our community who see the world differently?
Well, one of the big things is it's a social activity. But it's important because it helps them work on areas of their life that they can't normally work on, or they have to go to therapy, true therapy, or what people consider true therapy, to do. So they're learning independence, they're learning how to groom and tack their horse by themselves as much as possible, to teamwork. Them and the horse have to work as a team, to follow directions so that they can learn to ride with the horse. That the horse has a language and they have to learn that language. They can't teach it a different language. So there's a lot of things, social skills, life skills that they learn just interacting with the horse and coming to the barn. And for a lot of them, it's the only place they get treated like a person. They're not there because they have autism. They're not there because they live in a wheelchair. They're there because they're a person that wants to come ride a horse.
And the horses have something that we can't figure out what it is.
The horses have an intuition about each individual rider that I cannot explain. And it's not only is it great for our students, but it's great for all of our interns that come out that want to go into social work, to learn to read body language through the horses and see how the horses take time to learn their clients, and it encourages them to learn to know people for their future clients.
It's pretty amazing.
It's very amazing. So you can't replicate it in any other thing.
That's why you don't stop, huh? 'Cause
Yeah.
this is hard. It's hard work, isn't it?
It's hard, but at the end of the day, they go home feeling better than when they got to the barn, and that's all that matters.
So, you know, this is all on digital and I'm not really here, but I mean, I'm really not really here. I'm not even in Oregon. We got the house sitter to watch the dog in the house, and Kathy and I are right now at the Redoubt Mountain Lodge in a remote corner of Alaska, shooting videos and a show from Alaska where our son works, and we're having a really good time, I'm sure. But anyway, I don't want to make you too jealous, so I just thought I'd show you this beautiful place where we're spending our time.
It's like going back in time. I mean, this is like the lower 48 was 100 years ago.
It's nature in its simple form. You know, it's not the TV form.
You know there's nobody for miles. I mean, literally miles and miles. You're not going to see another soul.
This is what we get to do out here. We get to show people wild Alaska, or just nature, I guess, in its truest sense.
Because I think Alaska, for a lot of people, is a bucket list. It's one of those once-in-a-lifetime trips. I think it's something that words can't really express. It's beyond pictures, it's beyond words, it's beyond anything really tangible.
Welcome to Alaska, a place where you don't manufacture remote. Remote is everywhere you look. There are 29 volcanoes in Alaska, and one of the most active sits right behind the Redoubt Mountain Lodge. We're going to introduce you to this hidden jewel. One of the coolest things about this place is there's only one way in and there's only one way out.
One last thing I want to remind you about is Rick Dancer Media Services. We do a lot of things, everything from social media to videos for YouTube, videos for our show, videos for your website. We can produce a show from your location. Give us a call, we're really reasonable, and we want to get the message out and help you. And so give me a call, my phone number is right there on the screen, or go to my website, rickdancer.com or rickdancer.tv, and let me know what we can do for you, and let's chat.